Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to Misfits Racing League action. It is season 6, and I am extremely excited to be here, joined by none other than Mr. Mikau. Mikau, how are you doing? America's Tier
G'day,
1.
g'day, g'day, everybody. Yeah, America's Tier 1. Absolutely intense. We've seen great races all throughout the week thus far, and what better way to finish things up with with the one and only America's Tier 1, which has already, in its since its inauguration, seen some fantastic battles. And you could forget the duel that Becky B had throughout the last couple of seasons. However, he is still emerged on top, and let's see if he can start his three-peat campaign off with a bang here this evening.
Well, of course, Becky B, like you said, looking for 3 in a row. But of course, it's going to be a little bit of a different championship this time around. Season 5, 15 races, Mick. This season, we've added an additional 3 races. And of course, to take you through it, we have Saudi Arabia coming up after today's Bahrain Grand Prix. And then following that, we go to Mikau's neck of the woods in Australia. And then we have Imola, the United States, Monaco, Portugal, Azerbaijan, of course, my backyard here in Canada, Britain, Austria, France, Belgium, the Netherlands, China, Japan, Abu Dhabi, and then to wrap it up, we go back to Brazil. And it's going to be a fantastic season to see 18 circuits with a lot of new tracks at play. We're visiting a few familiar circuits from last season's calendar, Mick, but quite a few new ones that we didn't get to see in last time's rotation through.
Yeah, I'm really curious about how next week will go around the Jeddah Klondike Street Circuit because it's it's a very high speed circuit. The walls are extremely close, and you have to be right on the edge in order to get the maximum out of the lap. Also going to the new tracks Imola and Portugal as well. Fan favorites to say the least, but how they'll race here in MRL is remains to be seen.
Well, we have a very nice lineup with us tonight, Mick. We have a full-blown Tier 1 Americas grid to take us through this 6th season, starting with Rhapsody. We have Maxim B over for Mercedes, Sidewinder and Cal for Red Bull, Sales and Graz over at Ferrari with Gabazim and M. Ruiz for McLaren, Main Chief and Victor Diaz for Alpine. Then we have Gabix G, Visha for AlphaTauri, Carmelesson and Bomateo for Aston Martin, Becky B and Disco for Williams, Dengwu and Guac for Alfa Romeo, and it's Double OT and Jamie Lawrence taking up the Haas slots here for 6th season of MRL. And with that said, we're just about ready to go racing here. Everybody's in the lobby, I do believe, and we'll get everyone readied up and into the 18-minute qualifying session, followed by, of course, a 50% distance campaign. It's 29 laps, if I am not mistaken, here around Bahrain. And a couple things to note. We have had some changes since the last season of MRL. The damage has been increased to standard, and we've had a reduction in our safety car frequency. So, could see less safety cars, and we could see a lot more debris, which, well, Mick, I guess it's a bit of a trade-off, isn't it? More carnage. There could be just as many safety cars, couldn't there?
Well, if you were able to tune into the race last night for America's Tier 2, you wouldn't think it was on the reduced safety car setting because we had quite a fair few of them. I mean, Bahrain is a track where if you do happen to have a moment, it can be quite catastrophic, as you would know yourself. But anyways, moving past that, the increased damage is more influential than you would think because it's not only the effect that the damage has on the car's performance, but it's also how frequently you can and how easily you can pick up a piece of damage. And any kind of chip to the front wing at this level is completely catastrophic.
Yeah, there's a major performance hindrance in any case, any kind of damage taken. And these drivers are going to want to keep it absolutely as clean as they possibly can. And we'll see how they do through in the qualifying. They will have 18 minutes to get themselves set up with them, well, with a good lap through around the circuit here in Sakir. And, well, Mikhail, how many laps would you say the average driver will take around here? 3 laps in Bahrain?
Yeah, we should expect to see 3 runs during the qualifying session. I mean, you do get 3 sets of soft compound tires. Tire strategy has been quite fluid with the number of safety cars that all the tiers have had thus far. But you never know what could happen. And it looks like, unsurprisingly, clear skies for the qualifying, which is always great to see. And it's always nice to have a sort of really simple sort of weather dynamic for this opening round of the season, because even though we have quite a few returning regulars on this grid, we do have quite a few newbies as well, and how they'll mix in with the returning drivers is something that remains to be seen.
Well, with us on the grid today, once again, I'll take you through our lineup. We have, from top to bottom, we have in the Mercedes, Maxim B, Double OT for Haas, Gabazim for McLaren, Visha for Alpha Tauris. It's Jamie Lawrence in the partnering Haas with his partner in crime, Double OT, of course. They are quite familiar with one another, if I'm not mistaken, over from PPR. Becky B for Williams, and while we are most definitely familiar with him, given that he is the 2-time reigning America's Tier 1 champion. Sales with us in the Ferrari this evening. Karma Lesson with Casquito Benitez, the 2 partnering Aston Martins on the grid. It is Main Chief and Meaty for Alpine tonight, and it's M. Ruiz in the partnering McLaren as well. Rhapsody, familiar driver if you tuned into our previous season. Mercedes as per usual. We have Sidewinder for Red Bull tonight, Deng Wu in the Alfa Romeo. We have Cody Lawrence here in a reserve capacity, if I'm not mistaken, and he will be taking up what I do believe is his present favorite car, Checo Perez's seat. Johnny Disco, of course, he's on the grid tonight. We have Graz, Guac, and Gabix G, and it is going to be Visha Mikhail taking us through Sector 3, firing up those tires to take us on a lap of Bahrain.
Unfortunate not to see Dieg Surf on this grid, of course, the champion from last season's America's Tier 2. His rival, though, Johnny Disco, has made that promotion, and when he has reserved in Tier 1 in the past, he's shown great speed, but a little bit later on, we'll get on Johnny Disco. But for now, it's a lap of the Bahrain International Circuit on board with Visha, breaking around the 110-meter mark for turn 1, trying to open up the corner as much as you can. He's missed the apex slightly, but it's all about the exit coming out of turns 2 and 3. A little bit hesitant on the throttle as well on this opening run. Up the hill now towards the right-hander of turn number 4, braking just around the 100-meter mark. 4th gear, trying to get the rotation in. Make sure you keep it within bounds on the exit, unlike Lewis Hamilton did last year. Now through the S's of 5, 6, and 7. Careful on the exit curve of 7. Maxime just getting well and truly out of the way for this right-hander of turn 8. And then just nice and easy on the power, avoiding the curb on the exit. Then turns 9 and 10, the 2 hardest corners on the entire track. This downhill double apex left-hander, where the front left is very easy to lock. Around 60-ish meters for turn 11. 5th gear, trying to get on the power nice and early and keep the steering as straight as you can through this very flowing S section. Now 13 at the top of the hill, all about the exit, and then there's one last braking zone to go, Striffium. The 2 corners of turns 14 and 15 that can make or break your lap. 100-meter board down towards the apex curve, trying to get on the power as early as we can, and then there's just a sprint to the line. DRS for wide open, and it will be a 1:26.1 to start us off here for America's Tier 1 Season 6.
Very solid run there to really kick things off. I do believe that's not far from what the pole position was in the Tier 2 division last night.
No, that time we put him on the front row, right around where combined YouTubers set his time, but Raul was able to do a 25.8 last night for reference. So we'll see how much faster these Tier 1 guys are. Sales and Gabox setting times on the mediums. 148 from Gabox. not quite representative. And there we go. We're into the 125s already with our reigning champion, Becky B, at 25.922.
Really not wasting any time in the Williams, and neither is Johnny Disco on the medium compound tire, 27.384. He went fourth quickest here as other times start to come through. Casquito Benitez, P4 provisionally, 26.532. And things are really shuffling on this timing tower as the clock ticks down.
Cruz going into P7 now with a .799. Vischer 26.1. Still main chief, and that Alpine goes into third place with a 26.3. So you have Maxime B. Coming towards the final braking zone. Ahead of him would be the Alfa Romeo of Guerc. Sets 28.2 on the mediums, puts himself into 12th fastest. Maxime B now coming across the line. He'll go on that front row, beating out Vischer by 0.04 of a second, Striff. A 1:26.111, but it's still only Becky B in that 1:25s at the moment.
Cody Lawrence coming into the line with an invalidated run right now, and he is pushing into turn one, or at the very least, we'll see if he's pushing. His battery not really being expended too much at the moment.
Rhapsody also invalidating his first run. So the Brazilian off to a shaky start, as is the Haas of Lawrence. Invalidating a bit fairly early on his lap, actually. We'll go around again, does the Haas driver. We'll see what he's able to do.
A lot of drivers right now coming into the pit lane. Ooh. Jamie Lawrence with a bit of an issue through 13 there into the gravel on the left hand outside.
Well, Karma has started another attempt. Going through turns 2 and 3 now. In the Aston Martin this time. Karma, a driver we've seen for the past season and a half, showcase a lot of speed. Let's see if he's able to continue that forward into season 6. It's a purple first sector, and that's a great start to his lap, Striff.
Absolutely, and it's going to give him a confidence boost through a very difficult section of this circuit. Coming into turns 9 and 10 here, the very difficult double left-hander. He does very well to navigate through, gets very, very good traction, good power down. He's going to coast through into turn 11.
This S's Rhapsody goes to the top of the timing sheet to 1:25.8. Beats out Becky B by just under a 1/10 of a second. Karma, though, purple middle sector this time. And he's right on the edge of grip coming out of 13. But he's kept it in bounds. So this is looking like a stonking lap, Striff.
Yeah, he's really pushing here. Little bit of a loss of traction. Slipping on the exit of turn 14 there, but it's great, and it's good enough for, well, it's still solid enough for P3, 26.087, but yeah, you are right, it did cost him.
So only 3 drivers yet to set a lap. One of them currently on a flying lap. That is Deng Wu in that Alfa Romeo. He's making his way towards turn 11 at the moment. His teammate going slowly on the back straight, maybe even a cheeky toe towards the start-finish line. We'll wait and see. The toe here can be quite powerful if done properly. Something like 0.2 of a second. And in a grid as tight as this one, that could be the difference between the 3rd row and the 6th row.
Team tactics, something we have seen a lot in the past in these divisions. Dangwu 26.131, no toe.
Looks like Cody Lawrence just getting a few warm-up laps in. Getting himself accustomed to the Bahrain circuit, and attempting his last of first challenge yet again, it would seem. He seems to love doing that, and every time he seems to somehow manage to end up on the podium, so we'll see if he's able to do it again this time around.
Johnny Disco, I do believe on a flyer, navigating a bit of traffic coming out of turn 3.
I believe he's the only graduate from last season's Tier 2. I'm not mistaken. I mean, what a showing that Johnny Disco had. I mean, even though he lost out to DX in the end, it was still a fantastic campaign. And the flashes of speed we've seen from him in Tier 1 last season, when he was able to step it up, he was right in that mid-pack as well. Currently 13th with a 27.3. However, that was set on the mediums, and he's up a whole second, Striff. So he's going to be right up there with his teammate at the moment.
Becky B really wanting to have a strong teammate once again in that Williams seat. Johnny Disco. He's 7.26.169.
There's 4 drivers in the 26.1s, which is absolutely crazy.
Not a lot of room to breathe.
No, definitely not. And all of our top 4 now leaving the pits for their second runs. That was the Red Bull of Sidewinder improving to 8th place just a couple of moments ago with a 26.2. The Haas of Double OT makes up a spot as well.
Graz pushing through in the Ferrari, 9th position, 26.334, the improvement for him.
A lot of cars out there on track. You can see the yellow flags being waved in sectors 2 and 3. There's so many cars between turns 8 and 11. It's absolutely crazy to see. Maxime B on a flying lap going to turn 4 strip.
Here comes Gabix G to the line going P9. Mick 26.285 for the AlphaTauri.
Maxime's found half a 10th in the first sector, driving for Mercedes this time around. Some of you might know him for his photography work in the F1 game. He produces some absolutely stunning images, almost as stunning as that little slide he had out of turn 10 strip.
Yeah, very touch and go there on exit. Coming through turn 11 now, taking a bit of that inside curbing.
Gabby's improving to 8th spot with the exact same time as Johnny Disco. The 26.169. So the majority of this grid in those very low 26s. Can Maxime find the improvement he needs to slingshot himself into the 25s? All patience coming across the line now. He does. 25.940, good enough for that second row, and right behind his Mercedes teammate, who coincidentally is on a flying lap going into turn 5 as we speak, and he's found 100th through the first sector.
100th of a second. A very minuscule amount of time through that first sector right now to try and build on an improvement realistically. One thing I want to take our attention to before we jump back to Rhapsody is Becky B. He is presently running. He's just exited through out of turn 13, and he is pushing this car to the absolute limit. Can he, for a moment, take that provisional pole position away? He is firing it very tight to the inside of that pit lane. He's gone 25.776 to Williams is back into that provisional pole position. Rhapsody pushing with everything he can here, Mick, out into turn 14. What does he have? The Brazilian driver now in the Mercedes. We have lots of time in this qualifying lap, but these guys are in a shootout. It's a 25.730 from the Merc.
Advantage Brazil Striff. Advantage Brazil Rhapsody. 4.5 hundredths of a second between our front 2 at the moment. Maxime B as well, still holding on to that 3rd place in a very nice spot indeed. And it's the calm before the storm. We only have one driver out there on a flying lap, and that is currently Casquito, but he has really messed up. Turn 4 has run completely off track, and he hasn't validated that lap, it would seem. Actually, no, he's missing a front wing. How has he managed that?
Yeah, not in good shape right now, that car. Big cut off track there as well. Quite a few invalidations right now.
Ferrari of Graz on an outlap coming out of turn 4. Sidewinder just in front of him. Deng Wu exiting the pits a few moments ago. Not a lot of action out there on the track at the moment, as drivers are just preparing for their final runs, with just around 3.5 minutes left in this session.
I'm really, really excited to see Rhapsody right now putting in a solid effort here to put some pressure in on Becky B. And you know what? We saw him, Mick, near the end of last season, continuing that. It's where he began that, realistically, applying that pressure, whether it was in an offensive position or a defensive position, trying to cost him, time on track. He was doing a lot of teamwork for that Mercedes team last season, and it's carried it over, of course, into this season. Maxim B, his teammate, showing very strong here. The Mercs showing very well here early in the qualifying of the Season 6 racing calendar.
Meaty in the Alpine will be the first to complete his final run. Make his way through turn 8 at the moment. Currently last of the drivers to have set a time, but only by a tenth or so, 126.7, still within 1 second of pole position, which is absolutely crazy to think about. He's not really using that DRS, so perhaps a strategic play, or maybe it's not quite working. Cody Lawrence, to probably no one's surprise, has retired from the session. He'll be starting things from the back of this grid. But Meaty is up about 0.4 of a second, going down towards turn 14 at the moment.
Oh, that's monumental.
It's a decent improvement, especially considering he didn't use DRS down between turns 10 and 11, and it's enough for 11th place by 5 milliseconds right next to his teammate. But our front few, Deng Wu, on his last attempt, up 0.2 Striff. Up 0.2 Graz gets himself into the 1 minute 25 to 25.950 for the Ferrari. Deng Wu coming around the final couple of corners. What is the Alfa Romeo able to do? Can he get himself into the 125s? Yes, he can. It is third place for the Alfa Romeo. But now, Carmel Eston as well, going through turn 11. Can we see many more drivers get themselves into the 125s?
This is a very serious shootout right now in this 125 range. You can see right now Maxim and Graz, they just have 1/100 of a second separating them. And just who knows what this race is going to bring us. It is such a DRS heavy circuit, and considering the separation on this grid right now, I'm excited. I am excited because there's going to be risks.
Yellow flags at the top of the hill. That's the Mercedes of Maxim B. He has gone around on his last attempt, so he will not be improving. Becky B, currently on that runners-up grid spot.
Johnny
he's lost
Disco.
as well.
Hold
Johnny
the
Disco.
phone.
Wow.
Well, that's huge for Williams. Both ways. Both
positive and negative.
That's right.
Oh, Rhapsody runs wide at turn 7. He will not be improving either. So a lot of bottle jobs on this final run. So Rhapsody won't be improving. Johnny has already finished his final run. Becky won't be improving. Deng Wu won't be improving. Maxime won't be improving. The checkered flag has dropped Graz into the pit lane. Karma won't be improving either. And there goes the McLaren of Ruiz, M. Ruiz, into 13th across the line. Next up will be the Haas of OOT. Let's see what improvement he can make. He's up by a tenth and a little bit. He jumps up into 16th place for the Haas, a 126.404. Maxime is coming into the pit lane. Right behind him will be the Aston Martin of Casquito Benitez. And there he goes, 16th place.
Visha right now holding a little bit of time in hand. However, a bit of a slip up coming out of turn 10. It was a bit of a rush B moment, if you know what I'm saying. But it's good enough to find P4.
Wow. So what's the gap that separates this grid at the moment, Striff? You want to have a quick look at that? It is 700, 7/10.
Well,
7/10 is first to 18th.
Yeah, but look at the top three. It's less than half a tenth.
Absolutely incredible, but that is confirmation of your results. It is the Brazilian Rhapsody who will be starting on a pole position, and the only America's Tier 2 graduate, showing that America's Tier 2 last season was quite stacked indeed. Johnny Disco will be starting alongside the Brazilian on that front row, with Becky B, his teammate, right behind him in third. Vischer in fourth, with Deng Wu, Maxime B, Graz, Carmelescent, Sales, and Gabizem rounding out our top 10, who are only separated by just over 4/10, and it's 2 milliseconds between that 10th and 11th spot, and a further 6 milliseconds between the two Alpines in 11th and 12th. There is absolutely nothing separating all of the drivers on this grid, and that means we are in for one thrilling and pressure-filled race.
Rhapsody is going to be absolutely thrilled to take the first pole position of the season in this division, Mick. Absolutely stunning lap. 25.730 to take it here, and it's Johnny Disco, of course, starting on the front row next to him in the Williams. A little bit of a sleeper there, coming through to jump onto the front row on the final crack at it. Becky B, his teammate, starting third here. It's Vischer in fourth with Deng Wu starting fifth for Alfa Romeo. Of course, we're going to go down through the full grid lineup on the formation lap. But just look at the gap and the separation that we're going to find ourselves with on this grid through the racing. I'm just hoping that these times and these drivers can carry that pace into this race. DRS as well. There's going to have to be some risks taken in order to get some overtaking done here. And I am very excited to see that.
We'll just have to see how the drivers navigate the first couple of laps. Of course, in a grid as tightly knit as this one. Opening few laps, if you make some mistakes trying to get used to the heavy fuel loads once again, it can really put you on the back foot, losing those early positions. And then once that DRS is enabled, it's going to make overtaking near on impossible if the car in front of you also has that drag reduction system assistance. Is it tire talk time, Stuart? I think it's tire talk time. So, what are we thinking for this back 10?
I
Seeing
think
them starting on the mediums hasn't been the worst thing in the world.
there's going to be a couple soft runners, and I think maybe one, maybe two bold drivers going on to hards. Let's take a look.
Oh, well, it's pretty simple.
Wow. Well, tire talk ended quick. Softs 1 through 10, of course, as those are the starting compounds, same compounds those drivers set their qualifying times with. And then the back 10 drivers on the grid, main chief in 11th, down through to Cody Lawrence in that Red Bull. Starting on the medium compound tires, the yellow walled tires. Interesting to note here, Jamie Lawrence and Cody Lawrence, however, not related, did not set times in qualification, however chaining multiple invalidated runs. So if there was to be a dark horse in this race, odds could very well be either of them. Now back to the front of this grid, Mika, why don't you take us through this lineup?
Well, our front row, Rhapsody and Johnny Disco. Brazil v the US. Now, reigning champion Becky B lines up at that second row right behind the Mercedes, with Vischer for the AlphaTauri in fourth. Deng Wu, Maxime B, strong performances from those two, fifth and sixth. Graz in seventh. Carmelescent in eighth. Sales in ninth, so 7-9 for the two Ferraris. Not a bad shout at all. Gabizem rounds out the top 10. Then all on the medium tires, the two Alpines on the 6th row. It's Main Chief ahead of Meaty M. Ruiz in that McLaren in 13th. Gearbox for AlphaTauri in 14th. Sidewinder for Red Bull in 15th. And then we have Casquito Benitez in 16th. WOT 17th. Guac in 18th with the two Lawrences. Jamie followed by Cody at the back of this field. They are not related. They are Lawrence is spelled slightly differently for the two of them. But they are both very experienced drivers, very experienced racers, and with a lot of ground to make up at the start of this 29-lap campaign.
Might as well mention good friends as well. I do. Two Lawrences.
Yeah.
Rhapsody, Disco. However, in today's scenario, Mikau, not the best of friends. Bitter rivals, and it is, well, the Tier 1 Americas. Welcome to Bahrain. 3, 4, 5 red lights here and secure. Let's see how the racers go. It's a fantastic launch off the line for Johnny Disco, immediately firing things up to put Rhapsody under threat. Rhapsody defending off to the inside line. It is both Williams wheel to wheel coming into turn 1. Becky B with that inside back through to Disco. A little bit of contact there. Things getting very shaky in the rear end of this grid, however, relatively clean.
Around, that's maybe.
Ooh.
Not good for Meaty. At turn 3 is Johnny Disco fighting off Visha now. Becky B has managed to get past his teammate. Rhapsody, though, is clean ahead. Looking at the midfield right now, Maxime B makes up one spot. Biggest winner has been Cody Lawrence, up 5 positions already in the first sector of the race strip.
That's a very, very good opportunistic move for Cody Lawrence. I'm just watching right now. Gabizm sails a little bit of a shakeup here in the middle of this grid. See Main Chief really wanting to push through right now. Gabizm, Main Chief wheel to wheel through turn 11. Softs versus mediums right now. Gabizm has the exit. Opening lap of the race, and these guys
working so much better as well. There goes Cody up the inside of Guac into turn 13. You don't normally see moves there, but if your name is Cody Lawrence, you do.
Guac looking to defend a little bit, maybe try and push Cody Lawrence to get that back, but it's early here. Casquito Benitez within 2/10. He's tight to Sidewinder. We aren't seeing DRS, of course, until the third lap of contention as Johnny Disco and Visha wheel to wheel through turn 2, now 3. Johnny Disco defending the AlphaTauri.
Williams 2-3 now at the moment. Rhapsody, though, still maintaining that lead. With that find, that has allowed the Carmelescent and the rest of the cars immediately following him to catch right back up to this train for the lead. And everyone's still holding in that DRS range aside from those few at the back. A couple of pitters on this opening lap. Jamie Lawrence and M. Ruiz for Haas and McLaren respectively needing a change of front wing. It's unfortunate to see, but it was quite messy, especially in that middle sector on that opening lap.
Very calm grid right now after that opening lap. Knock wood, and we'll just have to see how these racers pick and choose their battles over the next few laps here.
Oh, where's the Red Bulls off? Sidewinder.
That
as
is
well
not
as
good.
double OT facing the wrong way.
That is very, very unfortunate for both racers. Not entirely sure how that unfolded. And Sidewinder has not finished the worst of it just yet. A bit of a battle going on here between Jamie Lawrence and Emery's, as well as Casquito Benitez. Excuse me. Cody Lawrence overtakes him into turn 1. Meaty, double OT.
In front of things. Here we go. Side by side, the Alpine getting ahead into turn 1. DRS has been enabled though, so double OT, he's going to be so much faster up the hill. The Alpine goes defensive, but is it going to be enough? Double OT trying to find a way around the outside, can't quite make it stick. So the Alpine will hold on to that 16th place.
Solid defense there from Meaty. Johnny
Now it's
Disco.
Mercedes Power at the front of things. To Williams holding the line astern. Rhapsody doing a good job to maintain the lead of this race as things stand right now, but he has used a fair bit of battery. There's a Ferrari off that sails. He is out of the race, as is the, I think that's the Alfa Romeo of Deng Wu, who looks like he's gone into the Ferrari. A 5-second time penalty, and it's a virtual safety car. So Rhapsody lives another couple of straights.
That is a very, very unfortunate issue to suffer this early in a race.
Ooh.
And that is Rhapsody taking 5 seconds for speeding into the pit lane. That is a very, very bad thing to have yourself. Oh, man.
So any advantage he would have gotten for pitting under this virtual safety car, he's just completely lost. And he's now on the hard compound tires. Carmeles and Graz also going to the pit lane under this virtual safety car. Those two going for a set of mediums, hoping for a later safety car to put on a fresh set of softs at the end. And there we go.
Oh my, that is just unbelievable to go from leading a race to taking 5 seconds to taking a drive-through penalty. Overtaken. He's in the middle of a fight. He's got Meaty. He's got Double OT. They're there. My, oh my.
That was not the call. That was not the call from the Mercedes pit wall. And now he's got a lot of work to do. Carmeles now off at turn 7. The Aston Martin struggling. Now it gets back on the track. Maxime B has fallen off the back of our front 3. And Gabizem has really dropped off. I don't know quite how that has happened. But it's Williams 1-2. And I just hope that they are able to manage the strategy calls effectively. Looks like Becky B trying to break the toe from his teammate.
Well, Johnny Disco right now really not doing Becky any solids, as he has Visha really tight, so tight in fact that he might even have a run at Johnny into turn 4. And Becky and Johnny need to be very careful here. Unsure right now if they're communicating or not. Of course, new teammates. You never know what the situation is.
Rhapsody serving his drive-through penalty. Meanwhile, as well, Double OT coming under a little bit of pressure from Graz in that Ferrari behind him. Speaking of pressure, it's Main Chief on Gabizem.
Yeah, Gabizem under major threat considering the DRS differential here. He doesn't have it. Main Chief's going to have a serious run into turn 11 coming out of this turn. However, Gabizem with a very clean exit in comparison.
You also got a certain Cody Lawrence eyeing them up as well. Red Bull out for blood. I guess oil? Hydraulic fluid? I don't know. I don't know what you'd use in that analogy.
He's going after the red on that Alpine. It's a bull after all, and it's Main Chief right now sitting with Gabizem. This is going to give Cody Lawrence a unique opportunity, an opportunity we've seen him take before where he could very well get 2-1. But it is early on the mediums versus softs. Well, here we go. He had a great exit. He's using that battery.
He's using that battery. Oh, Gabizem's going to lose 2. Oh, further to the inside goes Cody Lawrence with very deep, very late on the brakes. He pulls the car up, but he hasn't made it just yet. It's 3 wide between those two. Oh, Main Chief is able to get ahead, but he will not have DRS. The other two behind him will. Gabizem trying to look around the outside of the Red Bull. Lawrence has to leave some room, but just not quite the grip that Gabizem requires on those soft tires. And all that battling that's meant has the Cascuto and Guac have also caught the back of these 3.
That was very intense battling there. Extremely tight. Glad to see it finished clean. And it's not, well, it's not finished, but we're coming through a very, very serious DRS zone. And Cody Lawrence is going to be all over these racers. Gabizem a little bit closer to Cody. Walks.
Something happened to Visha. something happened to Vischer and all that. He's now in 11th. He was with our top 2. I don't know what's happened there. I'm sorry we've missed that, but the AlphaTauri maybe having a little bit of a spinneroonie. Down in 11th now. So Williams are really in control of this race.
Gabby's him. Ooh, he was looking for Cody there. Thought better of it.
Whereas a new fastest lap of the race with 29.8. Look at the speed of the Red Bull to the outside for turn 4. Main Chief again defending that inside, but Cody's a little bit closer. Tries to switch back, but can't quite get it done. An amazing defense from Main Chief.
Right now, the gap between Main Chief and Maxim be 4.4 seconds. And that's only going to grow given this defensive position he is in right now. Cody Lawrence applying all of the pressure, and here it comes now. Main Chief. You can see that rear wing is not open on the Alpine. Cody Lawrence really tight to the rear end of this car.
They're dropping Gabbyism as well. Those softs are really starting to lose their edge. Meaty, 3-second time penalty in 19th place. Joins the penalty club. Yellow flags. Deng Wu is out of the race. He's lost it at the top of turn 13. That's a full safety car. Wow, he is right on the apex of that corner strip. No wonder it's a safety car.
That is a very bad place to find your car. And an even worse situation to find yourself in if, well, who are the winners and who are the losers in this? Of course, Dengwu. Very bad luck to him, and of course, Sales in this race. That's now 2 retirements here on lap 8. A lot of drivers coming in. Well, Becky put on hards, and Rhapsody has hards on. Main Chief. Oh,
he's overtaken the safety car. He's been disqualified.
Oh.
Maybe? Oh, there we go. Update on my end, finally.
That was
extremely
odd. I had a going the wrong way.
Very, very interesting, but unfortunate. So, if you're asking about who are the big winners and the big losers here, I was going to say Becky B was a good winner, both Williams actually, but Becky's put on those hards. They will easily make it to the end, but I dare say mediums will just as easily make it to the end of this race. So, I'm very curious about Becky B's tyre strategy, but he is benefited from this. Maxime has made up a net position as well on those fresh mediums. He overtakes Johnny Disco because, of course, the 2 Williams needed to double stack. This really has hurt anyone who started on those medium tires because they need to go to the hards.
Well, one thing here, Rhapsody was able to shave that 5-second penalty. He is now on a fresh set of mediums. He was showing fantastic pace in this grid. Do you think there's still a possibility this man lands on a podium?
There's always a possibility that Rhapsody ends up on the podium. I mean, he was on pole position for a reason, Striff. And he'll definitely need to be making some aggressive and opportunistic moves. If he's able to keep the car in one piece and avoid... and truly could be on for a podium, because you have to remember, there's still 21 laps left. Still a lot of time, a long way to go in this race.
Still a few moments before we see ourselves green flag racing, but it is currently Guac, Becky B, and Graz, your top 3. Yet to pit The only drivers yet to pit are Guac and Sidewinder 303. Everybody else has come in at some point. Meaty holding on to 3 seconds in time penalties right now. The biggest winner so far, given their position, with pitting, excuse me, would be Mr. Cody Lawrence at 14 slots in this race. A solid campaign thus far indeed.
Not surprising, if I'm honest. He's done this many a time before. But I think he even completed the first last season around Bahrain. Or maybe that was 2 seasons ago.
Of course, shout out to everybody in the chat this evening joining us for the America's Tier 1 race. Good to see everybody in the chat, all the familiar names there. It's been a while, and great to be back with some MRL. Safety car is coming in this lap.
Let's see. Gok will be leading them away on his older medium tires. Can Becky B fire up those hards and get a gap that he needs with the Graz in between the reigning champion and the 2 rivals he has remaining in this race of Maxime B and Johnny Disco? I wouldn't discount Cody Lawrence either. And he has gone really early as the Alfa Romeo.
He is in bad shape.
Lock.
That is not good for Guac.
Up the inside, Becky B side by side with the Alfa Romeo. They're still going at it a little bit further back. It is Gabbyism trying to make it past Cody Lawrence on those fresh medium tires. Becky B now makes a pass for the lead of this race.
Hold the phone. Sorry to interrupt you. Sidewinder just went flying. Ruiz right now. Rhapsody, Karma Lesson. A serious exchange right now in the rear end of this field as Rhapsody looks to make up some position. Maxim B following Guac very closely, looking for an overtake now to the inside as we come through into turn 11, and he's looking to get it done, and he does so.
Meanwhile, in Rhapsody's camp, Emery's got past Carmelesson, and Rhapsody follows him through up the inside of turn 11. Now, there is only one car left, and there goes Meaty. Wow. You don't see that every day.
That was very interesting to see up the inside of turn 12.
Jamie Lawrence trying to make the move on Karma as well, but has gone really deep into turn 14. Carmelesson will get him out. Karma's going to the pits. I think he might have some damage.
Here goes Graz coming on the right-hand side of Guac. A little bit of contact there as we come through. Johnny Disco in the mix, looking around the outside of turn 3. It's a drag race into turn 4 between the Williams and the Alfa Romeo. Big tire differential there. And it is Johnny Disco into 3rd position now to go and hunt down Maxim B. Once again, we have a Williams versus Mercedes situation.
Yeah, and there's a lot of pressure behind Guac and Graz at the moment. Gabbyism, Cody Lawrence, and Casquito all very close to this helicopter shot that I'm getting. You just see there's so many cars so close in proximity. But crucially for our reigning champion, Becky B has pulled the DRS gap that he needs, 1.5 seconds between himself and Maxime B at the moment. Maxime B also dancing with that 1 second gap behind him to Johnny Disco. Johnny needing to really push if he wants to stay within that DRS range at the moment.
Big shout out to Captain Miner for the raid. Thank you very much and welcome to the stream.
Gabox on those fresher mediums. He sees hard runners. He's like, you know what? I want to pass these guys. He's gone a little deep at turn 14. But he is still very, very close to the back of this Aston Martin. DRS has now been enabled. They will have it into turn number 4. But Graz doesn't need that. He's going to make the pass on Guac for that 4th place. Rhapsody, fastest lap of the race so far. He is on an absolute mission at the moment. Graz makes it past into turn number 1. Double
Oh!
OT. The switchback Garbox has a
Oh,
little bit of a
man.
moment.
That was scary.
Christ averted.
Yeah, I thought for sure that might have sparked a bit of a yellow flag situation, contact, something, but clean.
See how close that Cody Lawrence is getting to the back of this McLaren for 6th place. 1.5 still as the gap. Maxime struggling to keep Johnny Disco at bay. Johnny has that DRS assistance on the Mercedes. And we're doing his part to try and fight and make sure that Becky B has a nice and comfortable drive ahead of him. But behind this Ferrari striff, it's anything but calm.
Well, you have Guac here really holding up some fresh tires, because you got to think he is sitting on his starting compound. Everybody behind him, fresh tires. Cody Lawrence on the hards, Casquito Benitez on the hards. Very interesting tire right now. They really haven't come to their full life yet. And then you've got Gabizim really on these mediums pushing Guac.
Oh, he's closing. He might get 2 and 1. Gets past 1. Graz later on the brakes. Gabizim still has that apex of turn 1. Has to leave room for turn 2. Guac getting unsettled out of turn 3. And Gabizim to the right-hand side. He's going to make the move. Cody Lawrence as well with lots of overspeed. Has to go earlier on the brakes. Gabizim forces Guac a little bit offline. So they still go side by side. Cody just slotting in right behind the Alfa Romeo. He thought about getting the Alfa Romeo into turn 5. And had to back out of that one. Would have been quite the risky move. And Rhapsody is right on the back of this train now, Striff. What is the Mercedes able to do? You can just see all, what is that, 7 cars in frame.
It is a very serious train right now on the rear of Gabizim. Any mistakes right now, you don't want to be making them. Simple as that. Just don't make mistakes. Johnny Disco
though, 3-second tire penalty. That's at the exit of turn 13. So he's trying to put Maxime under a lot of pressure, but it's cost him. And that could be critical at the end of this race. But speaking of critical, Double OT, he's lost the rear end. That's going to mean that Galox has a little bit of a run. Using the ERS as the Haas to try and stay in front. Meanwhile, Cody Lawrence to the inside thinks better of it as Guac goes for a late dive on the McLaren. Trying to get the run out of there. Guac's lost it as well. This is bad. This is very bad. They keep it calm for now. A little bit of a tap between the Alfa Romeo and the Red Bull. Graz has a little bit of a look going into turn 5, but isn't quite close enough. Rhapsody unable to make progress this time around. Double OT looking for the inside of turn 8 on Casquito. He pulls the car up and unable to get the move though, unfortunately. Using those softs, trying to get the extra grip, extra traction out of turn 10 now. Still unable to find a way past.
Johnny Disco really hunting down Maxim there, but the penalty costing him. You can see now Double OT with those softs trying to push that inside of Casquito Benitez through 11. That's a very touch and go area to try and push a move, and it is not successful. Now we're pushing back through 13. This train's still in full-blown formation. Where are things going to break up first? On the rear end of Gabizim or on the rear of Maxim? I think Johnny Disco is going to go for a move here. DRS and battery and utilization now to the inside. Penalty or no penalty. That is now a Williams 1-2 in the running.
Yep, Red Bull now in 4th. Cody Lawrence getting past Gabizim. Gabox getting past Double OT as well. Those two going side by side into turn 1. They have to leave room for each other. Rhapsody now on the outside of the Haas. Got almost squeezed off the track. Gabox forgets to open that DRS. Rhapsody's going to go for the dive. Oh, that was risky.
A lot to try and salvage here, Rhapsody. He started this race on pole position. If you're just tuning in, the Mercedes in 10th has been through the mill, to say the least.
Meanwhile, Becky B's lost his DRS gap that he had at the front. 8 tenths between the two Williams at the moment, and closing with that DRS assistance. So Maxime is in a very nice spot at the moment. But this midfield strip is absolutely crazy. Unbelievable scenes.
And it's all relatively clean racing. I mean, it's very tight. See a couple of taps here and there. I think more traction loss than anything. Everyone's pushing. And speaking of traction loss, we have Visha off track just outside of turn 7.
Johnny Disco really pushing, setting a new fastest lap of the race in his pursuit of his teammate with that 3-second time penalty, no less. But in this midfield, Rhapsody inside of Gabox, can he get the grip that he needs from the wrist? Oh, he's hit the AlphaTauri, he's gone round!
That is not good at all. He's going to try and get things rotated, and that is going to be bad news for the Mercedes yet again in this campaign. Now into 11th position, under threat immediately from the charging Haas of Jamie Lawrence.
Jamie getting so close to the back of that Mercedes. And Rhapsody's still going to have very hot tyres, so if Jamie wants a shot, this is probably his opportunity. Try and get one position closer to some points. This midfield train, though, Guark really starting to feel it on those really, really old medium tyres now. 15 laps he's been on that set since the start of this race. He is dancing on that 1 second gap between himself and Gabbyism in front of him. And if he loses that DRS, he is going to be coming under a lot of threat from behind in the form of Graz. And he has indeed lost that DRS as Jamie Lawrence has gone off at turn 12 and 13. But here we go, the Ferrari versus the Alfa Romeo. This should be a relatively easy move. They are both very low on ERS deployment. It doesn't matter, DRS and Slipstream, too powerful. As the Alfa Romeo goes deep, that's going to open the door for Casquito. Oh, look, this is beautiful. Drag race now between the two as they make their way towards turn 4, inside of line for the Aston Martin. He's able to force it. Oh, they've still touched. Wow. And Galbox is going to profit from that as well.
A little bit of hard racing there. I think a little bit too hard in that situation.
It's cost Guark a 3-second time penalty. Stewards might need to have a look at that one after the race. But things between the two Williams cars are starting to heat up, Striff. Hopefully they don't break the golden rule.
Yeah, that would be very, very unfortunate to see these two guys in these Williams have any team squabbles. But let's be honest here, Becky B, I mean, he is the 2-time champ. I mean, surely there's got to be some kind of element in place.
I mean, this is honestly reminded me of the expectations we were expecting this season between Hamilton and Russell in that Mercedes pairing for the 2022 Formula One season. You have the Master and the Apprentice. And the Apprentice is doing quite a good job. Becky B getting a little squirrely out of turns 2 and 3. The pressure is definitely there on the 2-time champion.
See, the thing right now, well, that's exactly it. And I was just about to bring that up. Johnny Disco is holding a 3-second time penalty. He is really close to his teammate. So in any case, if there is any kind of foul play, if there is any kind of mistake, Maxim could be there to really pick it up. And if I was in a team dynamic right now and I'm Johnny Disco with that 3-second time penalty, I'm going to try and drop back a little bit gradually to give my teammate my reigning champion teammate a little bit of a cushion. But hey,
It's
that's
round one.
just
There's
me.
no team orders. It's round one. The points are completely equal for all of 20 drivers on this grid, so I don't think there's going to be really any team orders. And Becky B, he's lost
That's
it
a
again,
big
coming out
snap.
of turn 14. Does Johnny go for the move? He might have to. Otherwise, he's going to come under a threat from Maxime behind. He's going to go for it. Williams are
Oh
making a swap.
my.
Now, Maxime, can he find an opportunity to maybe get one of these guys? Not on this occasion.
This is going to be a very interesting battle between the Williams and Mercedes this season. I can feel it.
I mean, with Maxime doing as well as he has, and Rhapsody definitely has the pace as well. Of course, started the race on pole position. Just looking a little bit further back down this order, the gaps have really started to spread out in this midfield. Guak is still yet to pit from his starting set of mediums, so definitely trying to go for the medium-soft strategy. But it has cost him a lot of time as a result. Fortunately, though, he has Emery's in that McLaren right behind him, about 3 seconds, nearly 4 seconds, also on very old medium tyres. But this closest fight is still our top 3 at the moment. And it's anyone's game as we approach the final 10 laps of this race.
I think the Williams boys are in trouble here.
They are. They honestly are. It's about even on the battery side of things. They just need to make sure that they secure this 1-2 on track in case Johnny Disco's warnings are able to get removed. Maxime B coming from a long way back.
Oh, that was too tight for comfort.
Wow. Yeah, Johnny was a bit earlier on the brakes, trying to make sure he doesn't go side by side with his teammate through that first complex, because if they did that, then they would definitely be in trouble. As Gabox making a move on grass for 6th place. Gets a little bit hairy on the exit, but the AlphaTauri able to stay in front of the Ferrari. So a nice job from him. Two Haas also getting quite close together as well.
WT having just overtaken Jamie Lawrence into turn 1, maybe.
And Guak has finally made his pit stop onto those fresh softs. And he's so much faster than Jamie at the moment. He's going to go for a dive up the inside of turn 8. A little bit of contact between the two. Bit of hard racing. But Guak up into 12th place now. How far can he go on those softs? 13, 14 seconds is a lot of ground to make up. But we'll see what happens towards the end of this race. We have a few trios on this grid, Striff, at the moment.
Absolutely.
A few duets as well.
Tight groups racing all over. Galax G flying into the pit lane here.
As is Ruiz. I think the Williams guys might have heard you, Striff. Johnny did not use DRS down that main straight and was still able to hold off Maxime B. Now, as these mediums continue to age, the hards will start to come into a league of their own. And that's good news if you're a Becky B fan, but it's also good news if you're a Cody Lawrence fan. Because if these guys continue to fight up ahead, and all the side-by-side shenanigans, that gap is slowly closing between the top 3 and Cody. Maybe not quickly, but it is closing ever so slightly. And Johnny, if he's not able to get that 3-second time penalty removed, could find himself off of the podium at this stage.
Galax G with a major dive on double OT here. Touch of contact through turn 8. That's position for Galax G.
Big lock up as well for the Haas going to turns 9 and 10. You hear the tires screeching. So what is the play? The Williams are going to go for the driver swap yet again. Johnny Disco easily past his teammate. Becky just trying to get back in the slipstream, and Maxime is helpless to try anything. Just can't quite get close enough. Cody, without the DRS assistance, might be a little bit far off, especially with the little slide he's just had through turn 1. Meanwhile, Graz into the pit lane for a fresh set of soft compound tires. Rhapsody takes that position up into 7th place, and that's probably the best that the Mercedes can hope for at this stage without a safety car.
Yeah, don't say safety car too early there yet, Mick, because we're not out of the potential safety car zone. Of course, we have until, if I'm not mistaken, the 3rd last lap before we could no longer see a full safety car. Becky B, a bit of a snap coming out of turn 10 now.
Becky B struggling to keep up. Johnny has been actually pushing this lap, and the gap has extended 0.6. That's no longer the slipstream range. 0.6 is that slipstream range where you want to be. You will still have that DRS. But Johnny really trying to push.
Oh, Maxim B with a big snap coming out of 13. Big wave of the steering wheel there.
He needs to keep this DRS. He wants to have any hope of winning this race. And he has managed to do so, but at what cost? Well, about 25% of his battery. That's the cost. Becky B closing up on his teammate. Braking early. Johnny goes defensive as well. A little bit touch and go between the two Williams at the moment. Maxime trying to recover from that mistake he had at turn 13. Gap is stable behind, so he only needs to keep his eyes forward at the moment.
Walking Gavitz G with an exchange now. Gavitz G 8th position at AlphaTauri. Very fresh softs between this pair. However, a penalty for the Alfa Romeo.
Lap 23 of 29, ladies and gentlemen. Still anyone's game. Who is going to win this race? Maxime B has managed to claw back the few tenths that he lost from his mistake at turn 13, but those medium tires are not going to be feeling great. Becky B's hards will still be feeling just fine. About half a second between our top 3 drivers at the moment.
It's been a stellar race thus far, and these Williams guys have been at the forefront of it. Tip of the spear, leading this charge for quite some time.
We see another driver swap. I think we're seeing another driver swap, Striff.
I'm trying to figure out what the smartest play here is for these Williams racers.
I think they're already doing it. What they're having is they're letting the second car behind charge up the battery, use the DRS to stay ahead. To stay ahead of Maxime, and then the lead car just burn the battery because Johnny is on 20% and Becky B had about 40 as he was overtaking. So I think that's what the play is at the moment. And Maxime just has to keep using that. Oh no, Johnny! Johnny's hit the wall, he's out!
No way. Just coming into turn 8, a safety car has been deployed. And that is a Williams out of this race.
And now it's going to be a 4-lap, maybe even only a 3-lap sprint on softs to the end, because if you stay out now, you are going to be a sitting duck.
Wow. I am absolutely shocked that at this stage of the race, we still managed to find ourselves with a safety car deployment. And this is really going to change. This is really going to change this.
I don't know why Johnny was pushing so much. He had an easy podium in his grasp, but just got on that exit curve at turn 7, trying to keep up with his teammate as best he can, and then just drops it. Unsurprisingly,
that
Becky
is
and Maxime in the pit.
tough.
Gabby's stayed out.
Okay,
Gabby's
this is interesting.
On 16-lap-old mediums. Everyone else behind him is going to be pitting for fresh softs. Literally everybody else.
That is so bold. That is beyond bold to me.
Gabox and Guac are also going to make up a couple of positions, getting past the Asman of Casquito and Rhapsody as well. But wow. It's like the apprentice might still need to learn a thing or two from the master.
Oh, that is just... Let's take a moment to talk about it. Mikau, I mean, you league race, I league race. You're in a third position running, or second, third position running, let's say. You're coming through the final laps of a race, and you crash. What goes through your head? What kind of emotion are you feeling? Because that is so tough to me.
It's just a missed opportunity for him as a driver, for Williams as a team. It was going to be a easy double podium finish because even though the mediums were starting to struggle, Cody was still dropping back. Just from the sheer fact that he just doesn't have that DRS assistance, which is around 8/10 a lap. So to drop it like that at this stage, and to cause a safety car no less, where Becky B has got to have pressure not only from Maxime behind, but look at the driver in 4 right now. It's Mr. Cody Lawrence on a fresh set of softs. And he ain't slow either.
Absolutely not, and he's been doing a stellar job hunting his way through this grid. I think one of the biggest things to look at right now is the situation with Gabizim at the forefront of this grid with 16-lap-old mediums, a big question mark for a lot of us as to why he did not switch the tires.
I mean, he's only going to need to hold them off for 2 laps. So, could be possible. I don't think we'll be seeing DRS at all for the rest of this race. Unless Sidewinder and Meaty are able to really catch up. But Meaty is on old hards as well. So, I dare say he'll come into the pits and put on a fresh set this lap. Hopefully, that's what he probably should do. So who wants to be on old hards at the end of the race? Oh, no, he's staying out. Okay. To each their own, I guess. It's a free pit stop for fresh softs, so, I mean, it'd be tough.
A lot of the drivers in the chat, of course, big shout out to the chat. A lot of the drivers in the chat really keen to see, I think would be the way I'd approach this. Keen to see how this situation unfolds itself in a few moments' time here.
We saw Major Castleman in America's Tier 2 was able to defend really well on old mediums. They weren't as old as Gabizim's now. I believe they were 14 or 13 laps old at the safety car restart. But he was still able to hold on, just somehow use the life in those mediums to secure the final podium place. But this is a whole different ballgame.
Ladies and gentlemen of the chat, of course, predictions if you please. Given the current state of affairs, who do you see winning this race?
It's going to be close. Is the safety car going to be called in? It is called in. It is called in at the end of this lap.
That's late.
That is late, but that means we will have 1 lap of DRS. The final lap, we will have DRS assistance. And there goes Gabizim.
This is trouble for Becky.
Oh my goodness.
That's big trouble for Becky.
Got it. Becky's struggling. He's falling like a stone. Look at this. 4 wide almost. Becky B up the middle of 2 cars as Cody Lawrence clicks the inside of turn 1. Maxime B on the outside. They are all jostling for any kind of position that they can. Now Maxime B under threat from Guac behind. I'm not quite sure about that stop and start of the restart, but it looks like Gabox on the inside of Guac, and then sees the Alpha Terry. He's able to catch the slide. Graz going around the outside of Casquito, trying to make it 2 and 1. Not quite. And then Rhapsody has pushed.
Cody Lawrence around the outside of Gabizim. Turn 8. Cody Lawrence not wasting any time. Sorry to interrupt, but Cody Lawrence taking lead of this race from Gabizim. Gabizim has been hit. There's been contact. Gabby's gone round. Oh my.
The pressure cooker. It's reached a boiling point. Some would say it's reached breaking point, if you know what I mean. But here we go. Becky B gets past Guac, who is trying to make an attack. Gabox now as well, trying to put the Alfa Romeo under pressure. Yellow flags yet again. Double OT's gone around at turn 11. But Cody Lawrence, 1.3 seconds. He might as well just done it.
That's a huge effort from Cody Lawrence. Started this race at the absolute back of the grid. This is America's Tier 1. These guys are no slouches. They are all very respectable and fast racers. And right now he is sitting at the top of this timing tower.
Mosquito less than a tenth. Galbox will get the inside. A massive dive.
That's an absolutely huge dive. And has he made it pay off? Yes.
What a move. Just ahead of them. Galbox. Guac. Trying to fight it out. These guys are on older softs, mind you. So there is a tie brand. Look at Mosquito. He's so close to the back of that AlphaTauri.
Everybody is fighting. Everybody jostling for these last positions, these last points. We're on lap 28 out of 29.
Around the outside goes the Aston Martin, the AlphaTauri and Aston Martin side by side, going towards turns 9 and 10. This can't end well. Gabox runs a little bit deep. He's gone on the curb. He's run deep. He's not only lost one, but 2 positions. He might even make that through to his teammate. No, not quite. Vischer not quite close enough to capitalize off of his teammate's error.
We're about to enter the final lap of contention here in Bahrain. Cody Lawrence, Becky B, Maxim, your top 3. 1.5 seconds between the 3 drivers. Things really spaced themselves out.
Carmelessa getting an excellent run out of turn 13 to get past Rhapsody for that 9th position, but it might be too little too late. Now, final lap of this race, Cody Lawrence, fastest lap. Becky B beats him by about a 10th of a second. DRS for one final time has been enabled. Our top 3 all are safe from DRS threat, but Guac is a whole other story, Striff. 2 DRS zones left in this race.
Guac, the one thing that might be an opportunity for him is the fact that Graz is hunting Mosquito so hard here.
Oh, yellow flags, double OT around at turn 3 this time as Jamie and Sidewinder duking it out. Sidewinder getting past the Haas as well. No late dives at turn 8 this time round.
I talked about risks at the start of this campaign, and boy, have we seen risks tonight.
Why is Mosquito's not using his battery? Mosquito is not using his battery, so Guac will hold off going into turn 11. Emery's really putting Rhapsody under a lot of pressure. He does have that penalty, mind you. But here we go. Oh, here we go, Mosquito. He's nailed turn 13. Why isn't he using his ERS? There's 2 straights left to go. He's put it on now, but Cody Lawrence has completed the last to first challenge here at Sakia to take the race win. Becky B will settle for second. Maxime B will round off the podium, but it's a drag race to the line. Guac will hold on track, but with that penalty will drop to 9th place.
Wow. What a finish to this race. That is very, very intense racing. To go through those safety car restarts like that, to go wheel to wheel, lap after lap, pushing for every final point you can. Very, very intense racing. And of course, big shout out to Cody Lawrence, driver of the day, game award, and I have to say, mine as well. 19 positions gained, excuse me. He started this race in 20th. He claims the victory, and we've seen that before in reality. However,
yes,
for a different campaign. For a different team. Of course, Mr. Perez, and that's who Mr. Cody Lawrence, I do believe, loves the most in Formula 1, so very nice.
So confirmation of the results. Cody Lawrence, 20th to 1st, completes the last first challenge, takes full 25 points as head of the Pirates. Becky B has to settle for second best. Does have that extra fastest lap point, but after that collision with Gabizem, after the safety car restart, might have a penalty coming. We'll have to wait and see. Maxime B will round off the podium as things stand right now for Mercedes. Casquito, 16th to 4th. A great drive from the Aston Martin. Has a lot of grip and confidence in those last few laps. Graz will take home 5th with the two AlphaTauris in 6th and 7th. Carmelesson in 8th. Guac in 9th, with Rapsy taking the final point ahead of Sidewinder, Jamie Lawrence, Emroy's Gabizem, Double OT, and Meaty with Johnny Disco, main chief, among others, unable to finish this race.
Stellar race. It really was. I enjoyed it thoroughly. I think we are going to have some interviews potentially. We'll just have to see in a few moments.
Man, Williams need to have a real good team debrief after that one. Really good. Real good team debrief. So they had an easy one too. They played their cards right. And instead they'll be coming home with a second and a DNF. It was at least a double podium for the two. Well, we do have all three of our podium sitters in the cool-down room. Don't know if you're still there, Mr. Strip. We can get interviews underway.
There we have.
So,
take it away, Nick.
Third place man, Maxime B. Maxime, congratulations. First race of the season, first podium of the season. Hopefully many more to come. Just talk us through, firstly, that safety car restart. What on earth happened from your perspective?
So I guess the car that was leading the safety car restart, we got throttle locked, and then I got the jump, but I was on the outside of turn 1 and I couldn't do anything, so I went back into P4. And then from there, it's just about pushing to the end.
Just bring it back a few laps. I mean, how was it with those two Williams? I mean, it looked like they were just using the DRS and the ERS to try and keep you behind. You had a couple of looks, then you had a massive moment at the top of the hill at turn 13 on one of those occasions, almost lost that DRS. So how was it battling those two Williams for the majority of that race?
Honestly, I was in the zone. I was going after them, like not pushing hard. I was just trying to keep up and hopefully make a move for P1. But yeah, that massive moment, oof, I almost died. Anyways.
A final one from me. Rhapsody, of course, your teammate for this season, on pole position, had a very, very tough race. But aside from that, do you think that you two could really bring it to this Williams duo? Because after the performance and the pace that they had here at Sakir, they're going to be a tough team to beat. But do we see Mercedes beat Williams at the end of this season?
I'm hoping so. I mean, like, Rhapsody is super fast. I'm hopefully up there, and this podium is going to help.
Well, Striff, any questions for Maxime?
No questions from me for Maxim. Just a congratulations, Maxim. A very solid result for you. I had mentioned in the qualifying and in the race that Mercedes was looking very strong this season. Mikiao had actually kind of asked the question I had wanted to ask there, or at the very least you had answered the question in saying that you guys are going to put in a solid effort to challenge Williams. So just a solid congratulations from me, and we'll have to see how you do in Saudi Arabia.
Oh, man. Thank you.
Next up, runner-up for this race, Mr. Becky B. Becky, it was looking like a good race, and then that safety car happened, and it made things a lot more challenging than they need to be. Unfortunate to not get the win, but still runners-up spot must still feel like it's a decent result. But I don't know if you were in the communications with your teammate, but any comments on what happened to Johnny this race?
We were not in comms together, but I mean, I think we both kind of had the same idea there. We were working together more or less, just because we were keeping the gap to Cody. I don't think he would have been able to catch us, but Cody got lucky with the safety car, and yeah. It sucks with the mistake that Disco made because I think that would have been an easy 1-3. But it is what it is. I'm fairly happy with the P2. I'm not sure if what happened on that restart because it looked like, I don't know if it was the game that did it or what, but it looked like there was speed up and then a slowdown on the restart, and I was kind of a victim to that. So, and then got turned into a little bit, but that's beside the point. Yeah, so I'm a little upset about that, but it is what it is. I think I drove a good race, and I think I deserve the win today.
You just going back to that safety car restart. We saw it was almost 4 wide with yourself sandwiched in the middle there somewhere at one point. Just how was the adrenaline? How were you feeling in that moment after what was a very shaky restart for yourself and just being put under so much pressure, and yet still somehow managing to stay in second? I know Cody got past you, but even still, almost dropping down to 5th place at one point. That must have been scary.
Yeah, it was definitely frightening. I was not expecting to be in that position. I was not ready to be battling with feels like half the field going into turn 1, but yeah, I was happy to keep my nose clean. I just kind of held my line and knew that I would have the tire grip to help, especially against the McLaren in front of me. But yeah, didn't really work out. I knew I'd be able to get Maxime. We had a good little battle there too, but yeah, it was definitely frightening, definitely a little nerve-wracking, but it was definitely a fun little battle there.
Now, my last question for you, Becky, is that we saw that both Mercedes drivers this season, Rhapsody and Maxime B, have some serious pace. And with your America's Tier 2 graduate, Johnny Disco, as a teammate, also showing some great pace. Who's coming out on top? Which team's coming out on top at the end of the season? Do you think Williams might be too strong, too good? Of course, you're yourself going for that 3-peat drivers title, 3rd in a row. But you can't really discount Mercedes in that one.
Yeah, I definitely can't discount them, but hopefully we can be a little more consistent than we were tonight. But I think if we can keep it consistent and keep scoring points, I think it's going to be an easy dub.
Well, there you go. You heard easy dub, says the 2-time reigning champion. Stryfium, any questions for Mr. Becky B this evening?
Well, I think that you're coming in here very, very experienced. 2 championships now. Of course, a lot of races to get those championships. A lot of dramatic exchanges, especially last season, given the tight championship up to one point. This season, given what we saw today in the qualifying, really showing some tight racing. The one question I want to ask you, do you feel, this is the 3rd season now, which of these seasons do you feel is the toughest so far? I mean, of course, you've 1 race into season 6. You had all of season 5, all of season 4. Do you feel like these grids are getting more difficult?
I would definitely say it's really hard to tell as of right now, because I think last season it had its ups and downs, where I think the end of the season was a little bit easier than the beginning, and I think it was the opposite for season 4, because I know the end of season 4 was really tough. I know we were fighting tooth and nail every race. Last season in the middle there, my fight with Lucas and everyone else, but yeah, I think no season is definitely not a guarantee. It's going to be tough all the way to the end. We got some good drivers this season, and it's going to make for some close racing. I definitely need to work on my quali. I know that. But hopefully I can keep the race pace up and we can have some good fights.
Thanks, Becky.
Yep, thanks, Becky. All the best in Saudi Arabia next week. It should be quite the thriller.
For sure.
And last but certainly not least, Mr. Captain Jack Sparrow. Last to
sir.
first, yet again. First thing, safety car, fresh softs. What happened? How did you manage to get into P1?
Well, I give you the technical answer, or I can give you the woohoo answer. Which one would you like?
Whichever one you feel like the chat needs to know more.
The woohoo answer, I say. No, I tried to back up that restart and just launched it perfectly. They all stacked up. We went 3 wide into turn 1. I think we went 4 wide because Guac actually got the best run out of all of us. We were all side by side into turn 1, and I got a little lucky there, but who's at the front? It's me. I'll take it. That's the woohoo answer right there in a nutshell.
Very, very nice. But before that, you made some great early progress as well. I mean, 5 positions in the first sector of the first lap. Just, you're no stranger to starting from the back and somehow pulling out miraculous results. But was it any different this time? Were there any real challenges? It looked like you just had to settle for that fourth position before Johnny unfortunately made his mistake at turn 7.
Yeah.
yeah.
Go ahead. Sorry.
No, I'm just asking, was it any more challenging? Because we've seen how competitive this grid was today. I mean, 7/10 was all the drivers that set lap times in qualifying.
Yeah, it's close. Just watching it. Yeah. I just try to think of the best way to formulate the answer, and I guess I just say the counter strat you need a safety car to really maximize the counter strat. You guys saw it in Tier 1 earlier today with the medium starters getting to jump a bunch of track position on such good tires. That's kind of the scenario I really needed with the counter strat. And I guess the difficulty in that was just either putting yourself in the position to take advantage of that or getting that track position with tires. And neither of those really happened because we just got an early safety car that threw all the counter strat runners onto the hards, or the people who tried to stay out, they just cycled out on tires because the mediums just didn't have a ton left after that. But yeah, I mean, cycling through the tires, getting through to P4 where I pretty much resigned myself to fighting with Gabazum. Excellent fight with Gabazum. That was actually really fun. Credits to him, I'll say that. But needed that safety car, got a little lucky and got it today, and I knew I had one shot at it, so tried to do it. And luck was on my side today, but I'll take that P1. Completed the last to first, what I call the Checo Challenge. I've done it.
The Checo Challenge. Very nice.
Yes, sir.
I like that name. I like that name a lot. Stryfium, any questions for our race winner today?
No, I just on a scale of 1 to 10, what does it mean to you to get that challenge done? In a league race, in a race where there's a lot of really skilled drivers. I mean, I know you like to challenge yourself. This one, for a minute, it seemed like it was gonna be. Well, it seemed like it could go either way, especially with that last safety car restart. So, just on a scale of 1 to 10, what does it mean to you to get the challenge completed at the very least for yourself?
Only one number, 11.
11.
Yes.
Very clever.
There's your number. There's
Very
your number,
good.
Scrift.
Well, congratulations on a solid race.
Absolutely. Thank you very much. Appreciate you guys giving me a chance to do this. So, thank you.
Alrighty, now I do believe that is it for us this evening after what has been 5 fantastic, absolutely fantastic Bahrain Grand Prix races for the first of what will be 18 race weeks here in MRL Season 6. Next week, we will be back with none other than Round 2. For the first time in MRL's history, we are going to be venturing to Saudi Arabia, and it's going to be one heck of a drive, to say the least, Mikhail.
Yeah, lots of high-speed corners, close walls, that technical first sector, and of course, just how potent the slipstream in DRS is in this game. We can expect to see a lot of 3-wide, perhaps even 4-wide moments going into that first braking zone at turn 1. It's really, really something to witness and behold. It's absolutely incredible, and it's going to produce some really, really entertaining races. I'm sure of that.
Very, very, very exciting stuff coming. So we've got 5 races next week coming around Saudi Arabia. Don't miss them. We're going to Jeddah. It's going to be very, very interesting to see how all the divisions navigate through such a fast, high-speed circuit. And of course, if you enjoyed the broadcast this evening and you're new, hit that follow button, and we'll see you on Monday for some more awesome racing. Mikhail, any last words for the stream before we wrap things up?
Nope, that's basically all from me. Just be sure to tune in next week for Tier 3, starting at, I believe it's 3 p.m. Eastern on Tuesday. I should know this.
4 p.m. Eastern.
4 p.m. Eastern, my
4
bad.
p.m. Eastern, yeah, is the Tier 3 division on Monday. And then we will be back with the Americas Tier 2 after Tier 2 on Tuesday as well. We're going to have tons of racing, 18 weeks of races, 5 races a week. MRL is back, and I am extremely excited for all of the awesome action, especially after tonight's stuff. Well, see you guys in the coming races. Ciao, ciao for now, and have a great, great night.